H-E-R. And if I were to title my remarks this morning, I think I would call it Unfinished Business. I was born and raised in Evanston, as Pastor said, and some of you may remember my parents, James and Bruce Avery. My father had 8 brothers and sisters, so we had a large family in Evanston, lots of aunts and uncles and cousins living all over. In fact, I remember as a young child being in different places in Evanston, and people would say, "You're real Avery, aren't you?" And I'd say, "How do you know?" And they'd say, "You look just like them." So you can't get away with much when people can ID you like that. But that was okay, because we were pretty good kids. We didn't get in much trouble. We had wonderful parents who set a good example of what a person should be. My sister Marcia and my brother Jim and I were raised with very high standards. Education is important. Represent your family well. Do the right thing. Give back to the community. Respect your elders. Take care of one another. Choose wisely. You know, the usual stuff. Perhaps children today don't hear it as much as they should. We were blessed in many ways. We didn't have everything we wanted, but we had everything we needed. I'm in my 3rd life now. I started my career as a teacher of special ed students, in fact, at Evanston High School. And with all the support and encouragement I had from my parents and family, I was still kind of shy and insecure when I started my journey. I remember being in the 7th grade at Skiles, what used to be called Skiles Junior High, and our classrooms were paired for gym class. So 7-1 and 7-2 had been together, 7-3 and 7-4 had been together. Well, I was in 7-9. There was no 7-10. So we had to have gym with a special ed student who was at 7-11. Now, I don't know why they made them 7-11 instead of 7-10, which is kind of odd, but anyway, we had gym with a special ed student. And that was interesting because most of the time they weren't very good, and they couldn't remember the rules of the game, and so the kids made fun of them, and they would laugh at them. And I knew then that was probably going to be my career, because they needed someone who was going to look out after them. And I knew that I could be that compassionate, patient person who could represent their best interests. But I also knew, being my shy, and, in that little insecure mind of mine at the time, I was thinking, they'll never ask a question I can't answer. So, I spent 17 years teaching special education and then regular education as my confidence grew at the high school, junior high, 5th grade, and adult level. I like to change who or what I was teaching about every 4 years. The stories I could tell you about my students and teaching and their lives could take the rest of the day and into tomorrow. And most of you would be falling out of your seats in the aisles laughing at some of the things I can tell you that the children believe to be true. But I won't spend that time today, maybe after service. But it was a wonderful beginning to my journey, my career. You see, in the 60s, women didn't have a lot of career choices. We could teach, or be a nurse, or be a secretary. And that was it. Our careers had to be compatible with raising a family. So, this is the way things work. I wasn't driving my life, I was being driven. The times are different now. Who or what is driving your life? Are you driving, or are you just riding along? Are you there yet? Do you even know where there is? Thanks to a strong woman like Rosa Parks and many others in the civil rights movement, we don't have to ride in the back of the bus anymore. We can to drive the bus.
Well,
In fact, I took a group of students on a field trip Thursday, and the bus driver was a woman. On that fateful day in Germany, Rose was tired, and she sat down and she simply refused to get up. And look what she saw. She was one of many women of wit and wisdom that had the strength and courage to make it somehow. Women like Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton, who make a change in the world every day today. They aren't writing back. Women who teach our children, serve in Congress, work in the church, in our communities, women doctors who heal our bodies and minds, they're not riding in the back of the bus. Women who made a difference like Barbara Jordan, Shirley Chisholm, Lorraine Hampton, Alexis Herman, Nikki Giovanni, and I have to give a shout out to my sorors. 900,000 of them who are women of service who are celebrating their centennial this year. They're not riding in the back either. But some of us are still choosing to ride or even hide in the back of the bus, driven by a lack of planning, low motivation, unplanned detours, fear of failure, and would you believe it, even sometimes fear of success. We've been shaken, beaten, defeated, disillusioned, marginalized, conflicted, broke, sad, stressed out, disappointed, and left behind. So what? We won't be the first or the last to start over. You can change direction any time, but you still need to decide where you're going. Your mantra should be move forward and only forward. In my second life, I was a client rep in the education industry for IBM. I was turning 40, and in my midlife, competing with young things just out of college. I won't lie, it was intimidating. You know, they knew more than me. But I finally figured out that they weren't smarter than me. And when I figured that out, I knew how to fix it. I had to work harder, and I did. But it was just for a short period of time until I caught up. What I had learned in my first life as a teacher actually was invaluable in my second, because I was selling educational software and services and computers to schools and school districts. So it helped that I knew what teachers wanted, what children needed, what the administrators were asking for. And that was the part of the job that I knew better than they did. And that was fun for another 18 years. In fact, I had some people who said, "Do you sell stuff? You sell stuff?" They couldn't believe me, to be a salesperson. And I said, "What do you mean?" I had to sell myself or my subject matter every day to 35 kids. And I was pretty good at it. So don't tell me I can't sell something I believe in. I can't sell you a car, but I can sell you educational software, something I really have a passion for. I even thought that one day all the Chicago public schools, all the children, would be able to read and write better just because of my product. That didn't quite happen, but you have to start somewhere. Some of us need to start, and some of us need to start again. It's okay to accept a ride every once in a while, because we need to rest, think, listen, learn, observe, share, reflect, and regenerate. We don't always have to drive, but when we aren't driving, we need to be aware of who or what is doing the driving and be not at the wheel. We can't just pull over on the side of the road and stop moving altogether, because when we're dead, or when they're ready, don't be paralyzed by the what if in life. What if I don't have enough money? What if I fail? What if people make fun of me? What if I make a mistake? And on and on. You know those voices in your head. My story is your story. So, the what if can cause you to fall asleep at the wheel. And if you do that, you're there again. Or you may as well be. So like I said, I'm in my third life now. And in retirement, I'm doing something I always wanted to do, and that's write. And I've written 3 books, and I'm working on a 4th. The first was entitled Nothing Like I Thought, A Baby Boomer's Look in the Rearview Mirror. From the title, it's pretty obvious what that was about. But frankly, at 50, I thought I knew a lot about life. But the tagline for my book reads, I try to be a good person, a loving wife, a loyal sister, a kind daughter, a generous friend. But the older I get, the more I realize I don't know jack, and that's what the book is about. I was inspired by a group of girlfriends as we enjoyed a spa weekend celebrating one of our 50th birthdays at the Great Geneva. And we sat around the fireplace lamenting how our lives were different than what we planned. Not necessarily bad, but different. We had really big plans when we graduated from college. And I'm sure that our stories are your stories too. One said she was going to get married and live happily ever after and have a house full of children. She's on her 3rd husband. Some never married who thought they would. Some planned to be rich and famous. That didn't happen either. Some said they'd never gain the weight their mothers did in middle age. They have become their mothers. We have all become our mothers. When it was my turn, I said I was going to be a writer. And the room was just totally silent. Nobody was staring at me like, so, what are you waiting for? And I looked around the room and I thought, no, I need to speak. I got time. So I said, okay, be careful what you ask for, because that's what that first book was about. It was a book of short vignettes about all of our lives, our story about growing up, marriage, raising children, working in corporate America, going to college, and going a little older. We all came of age in the 60s. And so, even though I was doing a lot of venting in that book, hopefully it was inspirational and a little humorous venting. Then I had a friend, most of you may know her, Phyllis McAllister, and she was 3rd grade teacher. Phyllis and I have known each other since we were in kindergarten, and so we were BFFs in the day. And she said, let's write a children's book. And I said, I don't know anything about writing a children's book. I just did this one because I just had to get something off my chest. And she said, we do it. And I said, hey, let's do it. And so a year later, we had another book. Grandma's Fairy Tale Museum. And so that's all about how children don't read fairy tales anymore, and their mothers and grandmothers don't read fairy tales to them anymore. And I didn't quite believe it at first, but after we wrote that book, it was a book kind of encouraged to the TV fairy tale. I took it to lots of different schools here, of course, trying to sell the book. And I would ask the children to name 1 or 2 fairy tales, just 1 or 2. And they would name every fairy tale that Walt Disney has ever made into a movie. And then I would tell them, yes, but name me a real fairy tale that Walt Disney didn't do. And so one of them back way as he can. I don't know. And he said, SpongeBob. And I said, well, she's right, I'll rest my case. So I always thought I had 1 book in me, and now I have 2. And seems to be one of my greatest achievements, what I think is one of my greatest achievements. This is book number 3. And I didn't think that I was ever going to do a third book. But this one is my favorite. This is actually a novel. And it's a mystery, and it's full of secrets in life, and it's all about small businessmen and politics in Chicago and the state of Illinois. And this is the most fun book, right? And of course I used a lot of material from when I was a client rep in the public sector. But, you know, all the people are fictitious. And after reading the book, there are a lot of people who have come to me and asked, shouldn't you be in the witness protection program? And I remind them, it's a novel. It's a novel. That's fiction. You know, in relationship to any person or incidences that have happened, it's purely coincidental. So we all have unfinished business to complete, or we ourselves are unfinished business, no matter what our age. We have the usual excuses. We're too old, we're too young, we're waiting for the kids to grow up, we're waiting for a little bit more money, we don't have the time, we're waiting for the grandkids to grow up, for retirement or for whatever. There are several fundamental truths that I have that have been shared with me in my life that I'll share with you. One, life's a dance. We learn as you go. There are up cycles and down cycles. And just like chapters in a book, when you finish one, turn the page. Don't get stuck in the story. 2, we carry with us all that we have been, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Don't let your bad and your ugly hold you back from the good. The future holds good for you. 3, we should take no one in our lives for granted. Relationships are at the center of everything that we do and everything that happens in our life. Some cheer you on, some don't. Some people give you encouragement, some don't support you. Don't let that stop you from your purpose. Sometimes the person you least expect to hear, you least expect is there to say just what you need to hear. So choose your friends wisely. 4, it's important to keep your word. We're all connected, and yet the only person I have control over is me. So I embrace the good, and I release the not so good. 5, we should live an honorable life. I believe one should do more than occupy space on earth. We should make a difference. And sometimes we think that we're too small or we have too little to make a difference. But first-grade teachers made a difference in my life. 6, we can choose to be grateful. Our time on earth is very short. Moments are too precious to waste on regrets or yearning over things that we may never have, or worrying over things that may never happen. We can choose to be happy despite our circumstances. Like Anthony contributing to my life. Hopefully you can hear me over here. We've been trying to get him to talk, develop language, and now he's decided. Now's the time. But last, we must keep the faith. I've been blessed and I'm grateful. I thank God for helping me climb mountains, face down obstacles, and receive His blessings. And most importantly, I try to share those blessings. So, are we there yet? Where's there? Do you have unfinished business? Are you riding or driving? What are you waiting for? Thank you.